Layered missile defense is a complicated concept for keeping U.S. interests safe, but Editor-in-Chief Mike Gruss recently got the chance to explore the topic with an expert from Raytheon. Here's part of that conversation.
I want to start because we hear this phrase, layered missile defense, a lot, but I was hoping you could detail what a layered system would look like in action.
Thanks, Mike, and I am very grateful to be here and for you to spend the time talking a little on this subject. So layered defense, you're right, we talk about it a lot. What does it mean, right? What it means to us is to be able to detect, track, identify, and kill any threat launched from anywhere around the world to the homeland, right? And the way we do that is have many layers, as the name implies, from space through air to the ground, with overlapping capability and also with communication between the layers. And what this enables us to do is have our sensing capability and our effectors all interconnected, all able to communicate. And therefore we get multiple opportunities to sense, to see, to shoot at a particular threat at any point in its trajectory. Even from an offensive standpoint, if we get intelligence that a threat is moving or being positioned, we potentially can use our assets to even strike or use diplomatic means to stop a launch before it happens.
And I would imagine, we've heard a lot recently about how the threat landscape is changing, particularly with missile defense. We hear about UAVs, cruise missile proliferation. Obviously, a lot of attention is being paid to hypersonic gliders. How do all these new technologies change the mission or raise the need for exactly what you were just talking about, that kind of layered defense where everything is a little more integrated?
Yeah, that's a great point, Mike, and that is the most compelling argument for some of the changes we need to make in our system. Right now, we're seeing three major trends in the threats. One is just pure quantity. We're seeing proliferation like never before. We're seeing those threats have much more advanced capability than before, and we're also seeing numerous new launch points, right? Our current system, our current BMD system, as the name implies, was designed for ballistic missile threats, those that fly a very predictable trajectory, much like when you toss a football. The new threats, they're moving much more quickly. They're much more maneuverable. They can even attack, be launched through the exo-atmosphere, through space, and also from a lot of different places, not just land-based anymore, but they can be launched sea-based, air-based. We're even seeing capability for submarine launches of cruise missiles. So while our current defense system is very good, it's not adequate to keep up with this new threat set, and therefore it's compelling, again, that we evolve it today.
This integrated see, sense, shoot architecture or philosophy that you talked about and that we hear a lot about from military leaders throughout the department, that's really difficult to do. So what are some of the challenges that Missile Defense Agency and the Army Space and Missile Defense Command, what do they need? What are some of the things that they need to overcome to realize these goals? Because obviously there's radar, ground systems, sensor coverage. It gets very difficult very fast.
Yeah, it does. And I think that the pace of threat evolution is probably the greatest challenge of all. Obviously, we have a lot of technical challenges, but I have complete faith in the community to deal with those. But rather, how are we going to react to the rapidly changing threat? And I think to do that, we're going to have to take two approaches, evolutionary and revolutionary. One of the great things that we're learning is some of our systems that are already fielded, again, both sensing and in effects, actually are effective against some of the threats that we're seeing today or the emerging threats that we see. The recent example of the successful flight test of Standard Missile 3 Block 2A against an ICBM is a great example of that. So through modeling and sim and testing against some of our newer threats, we can, or even software upgrades for radars for our effectors, we can use evolutionary approaches to combat the threat. But in reality, we're going to have to do some revolutionary changes as well. Hypersonics, counter hypersonics for us is going to be a big step forward. We're going to have effectors that can handle very high temperatures. For the speed they go, obviously go much, much faster, and being able to maneuver very quickly throughout the entire flight cycle. We're going to have to be able to do much more sensing from space and have those sensors be able to collaborate with our ground-based systems. And we're going to have to make sure that all of our systems are interconnected and communicate with each other, not just MDA, but with other forces sensors as well. NGI is a great example of where we're taking a known current capability and evolving it to the next level for advanced threats much earlier in the cycle and against much more sophisticated threats.